So, hello everybody. I'm Yuval. It's good to be here. I'm a historian, which means that I'm interested in how we got here, in how things that happened long ago still shape our life today. And I think that trying to understand how we got here is something that always interested me since I was a little kid. One of my first memories is that when I was 6 years old, and I lived in Israel, I still live in Israel, and on television, it was 1982, and I was fascinated and horrified watching on television the images, the videos from the Falklands Malvinas War. And there was one thing in particular that stuck in my mind really until today, that the Argentinians sunk a British ship, the Sheffield, and I saw on television the images of this big metal ship sinking, and then they had an interview with a British soldier. I don't remember what he talked about, but they also said that he died during the sinking of the ship. And I didn't understand how I can see him talking if he's dead. I was 6 years old at the time, and I had two questions that really bothered me, and that I think still bother me today, and that kind of directed me towards being a historian. One question is, why is there so much suffering in the world, and why are people so mean and cruel to each other, starting all these wars and killing each other? And the other question was, what happens to people after they die? What happened to that soldiers on the ship after he died and was drowned? So, okay, I'm now sitting here watching him on television talking, but he's dead. So where is he really? And these two questions led me to the study of history, of how we got here, because some people think that wars are just a natural part of the world, that this is what people do. But it was strange because most of the people that I knew were nice people. They love their parents, they love their children, they love to play. So how come these nice people, they end up starting wars and killing each other? Where is this coming from? And with regard to the other question of what happens to people after they die, so I asked my parents and my older sisters and my teachers, and they told me all kinds of stories, but I got the impression they don't really know. They just invented these stories, or somebody invented these stories, and they don't really know. And for years this bothered me, that how is it that the adults can go about their lives, worrying about their bank account or about this or my grades in school, when they don't even know what happens to us after we die? And also, where did all these strange stories come from? And as a historian, I still study today these two questions of why are there so many wars in the world, and more generally, why is there so much suffering in the world? Where is it all coming from? And also, where are all these strange stories that people tell each other? Where do they come from? Are they true? Or is it just that somebody invented it at a certain point in time, maybe thousands of years ago, and told it to some people who told it to other people who eventually told it to me? And one last thing maybe say is that history is not just about the past. It is also about the future, because really, when we study history, we try to understand people, why people behave the way they do, and can they behave in a different way? And one of my hopes is that by understanding how people behave, we can learn to do better. So if you have any questions about these issues or anything else that comes to mind, the floor is yours.
Hola, Yuval. Mi
Hola.
nombre es Erika y tengo 12 años. En tu último libro explicabas la historia de la humanidad para niños y jóvenes. ¿Somos los humanos imparables?
Yeah, so my latest book is for kids, that in a way I kind of wrote it to myself, trying to answer some of the big questions that bother me as a child. And I'm also very happy that Ricard is here, that he helped me with the images of the book. I think that behind me there should be images, yes. So these are the images from the book, but I can't draw like this. This is why I cooperate with Ricard, who is this wonderful artist who can produce such images. And the title of the book is Unstoppable Us. And unstoppable means two different things. On the one hand, it means that we humans are the most powerful animals in the world, and nobody else can stop us. Not the lions, not the elephants, not the whales, they cannot stop us. We are much, much more powerful than they are. If we decide to destroy the forest in which they live, or to pollute the ocean in which they live, they can't really do much about it. There is really no force on earth which can stop us. The other meaning of this word, unstoppable, is that also we cannot stop ourselves. That very often, no matter what we achieve, what we get, it never satisfies us. We always want more. We don't know how to stop. Somebody who has $1 million wants $2 million. Somebody who has $2 million wants $10 million. It's always like that. A king who controls one kingdom wants to conquer another kingdom. Because of that, this is why we are often causing so much havoc, so much chaos in the world, because we just don't know how to stop ourselves, how to just be satisfied with what we already have. And it also means that even though we are the most powerful animal on the planet, we are not necessarily the happiest animal on the planet. That, again, to be happy, you don't need power necessarily. You just need to be satisfied with what you've got. And this is something which is extremely difficult for human beings to do. This is why for thousands of years, ever since the Stone Age, we were very, very good in acquiring more power, in getting more power. But we were never very good in translating power into happiness. Which again, you see it even on the level of individual people. If you think about the most powerful people today on the planet, the most powerful political leaders, the presidents and the prime ministers, about the most powerful, the billionaires, they are not necessarily happy people. And again, it goes all the way to our entire species. And we keep inventing new stuff, creating new tools, exploring new places, even new planets, hoping that the next thing we create, the next place we conquer, this will finally make us satisfied, make us happy, and it just never happens. And I think the biggest question for humans now in the 21st century, we now have so much power that we can destroy not just the other animals, we can also are in danger of destroying ourselves. And if we don't find a way how to translate power into happiness, how to be satisfied with what we have, instead of running after more and more, there is a very big danger that we will destroy ourselves.
Hola, soy Félix, soy profesor. Yuval, uno de los cuentos que utilizas para explicar la evolución del ser humano a los niños es La isla de las flores. ¿Podrías hablarnos de este cuento y por qué esta isla es tan especial para los seres humanos?
One of the very interesting things that we discovered in recent years is that for most of the time that there were human beings in the world, there were a lot of different kinds of humans. Today in the world, anywhere you go on the planet, you find exactly the same humans, like you and me. You go to Spain, you go to Israel, you go to Africa, you go to America, you go to Australia. It's the same, exactly the same humans. But it's actually very strange, because if you go to different places around the world today, you don't find the same kinds of bears. Like you go to North America, you have grizzly bears. In Spain, I don't know if you have bears, but they're not grizzlies. They are brown bears or black bears. In China, they have panda bears. You have polar bears. You have different kinds of bears in different places. Similarly, you have different kinds of snakes, and you have different kinds of birds and fish. So how come everywhere you have just one kind of humans? And the thing is that if you go back in time, many, many years, tens of thousands of years, you reach a period, an era, when there were many different kinds of humans living on this planet at the same time, like with the other animals. Historians and archaeologists who dig in the ground to find evidence for ancient history, they now have a lot of evidence about these other kinds of humans. So one kind of human that maybe you've heard about are Neanderthals. Until about 45,000 years ago, Spain was not inhabited by humans like us, but by a different kind of human called the Neanderthals. And there was an island in what is today Indonesia, the island of Flores, which was inhabited by an altogether other kind of humans, which are very small humans, dwarves, but not like in fairy tales. They're real, very small humans. They reached a height of about 1 meter. They weighed something like 25 kilograms, but they were also human beings. They knew how to produce tools. They knew how to light a fire. They hunted elephants, but the elephants were also very small elephants. Because on that island, you had very small humans and very small elephants. How did it happen? It wasn't kind of magic. It's not that there was some sorcerer or some wizard who waved a magic wand and turned all the humans and elephants into very small versions of themselves. It happened by the process we call evolution. That what happened is that at one time, this island was connected to the continent of Asia. So humans, big humans and big elephants who lived in Asia, they just went there the same way they went everywhere else. And then the seas rose, the level of the oceans, it rose, and this bit of land, it was disconnected from the mainland, and it became an island. And some humans and elephants got stuck there on the island of Flores. And there wasn't a lot to eat. So the smallest humans and the smallest elephants, who needed the least amount of food, they survived best. We often think that the big people, they have the biggest advantage, but it's not true. There are some situations in life that being the smallest is the best.